Hello friends, welcome. So today is going to be a press plate video, and I don't have a specific plan. It's going to be kind of another one of those craft alongs where we're just going to have some crafty fun and look at some products and combine them and see what we can come up with. So let's go ahead and switch the camera and get started. Alright, so my main product today is this one right here. It is a press plate from Pink Fresh Studios. And when it presses, it gives you all these designs, and then the die is like this, and it's not meant to be cut apart. It's purposely very thick there so that you can't just cut them apart. And you can, when you die cut it, you get all these little frames. I'm going to pair that with this stamp set, and this stamp and die set also has a stencil to color it, so we'll be doing that. For some of my sentiments, I'm going to use this Pink Fresh stamp or die set, and I'm trying to see the full name of that one. This is a newer one. These have been out for a while, but this one I believe is a bit newer. Basic Sentiments. It's just called Basic Sentiments. Well, that's a pretty easy name, and it does have a press plate as part of it, or you can just die cut it. So we'll be using that. I'm going to be using some A2 nesting rectangles. Mine are waffle flowers, but any nesting rectangles. I pulled out some patterned paper to go with my projects today because I wanted a little, I didn't want just white backgrounds. I wanted to use some patterned paper. So I did pull this one. It's an Authentique. It's older. I've had it in my stash a long time, but it was really just, I chose it because of the colors. And speaking of colors, I did use this piece right here as my inspiration for my color palette today. And this is from the color block system. And I'm using number 182. So that's kind of my color palette, but not exactly, but close. Alright, so to get started, let me set this stuff aside. I'm also pulling in 2 pieces of just solid color cardstock, some dark navy blue and some very pale peach. And for my inks, I'm going to be using all Catherine Poolers for my flowers, but I'm using Sandcastle, Clay Mask, Slate, Pebble, Stone Blue, and Cove Blue. So this is my color palette to kind of go along with this. Now for my ink for the press plate, these are the 3 that I used. Now the coastal ink did not match well enough. I did make some of my sentiments in the coastal ink, but it just didn't match well enough with the 2 other blues, so I'm not going to use that again. I'm going to go ahead and do the press plates, but I'm going to try to do them in the Cove Blue instead. Alright, let's get started. And like I said, this video may be a bit of a long one, but I hope you'll hang with me, but you can always kind of fast forward through the boring parts. So there we go. Set these all aside. And to begin, I'm just going to grab my stamp and we'll do our flowers first. Oops. Just pulling that off of there. There we go. And I'm just going to stamp this in some Memento ink. So it's only in the 30s here in Texas today, so quite cold for us. But I think the sweater I have on might be a little too warm. I may have to take my sweater off while I'm in the middle of this. I think my husband must have turned the heat on. Go. All right. Going to use my gel mat here to hold on to my stencil for me. Kind of got them out of order, but that's all right. We're going to start with this one. All right, now I'm having to line it up with the image because when I stamped it, I didn't like make sure anything was square with my paper or anything, and that's all right with me. I'm going to start with the stone blue color, and I'm using these little brushes. I'm just going to I like coloring images with ink like this. It just reminds me of my heartfelt creation projects and always coloring flowers with the ink. I like the variations of lights and darks that you can get using the ink. I think doing it with Copics, you have to be a bit more talented to get a flower to look natural using Copics, where with the ink, it's a little more forgiving. All right. That'll do it for my stone blue. All right, for the next one, I'm going to come in with this one. And for this, I'm going to do the centers of the flower in my Cove blue. And I'm doing those fairly heavy. I will use the Cove blue again here in a moment. But I'm going to switch to the clay. And these little flowers I'm going to do with the clay. Oops. All right. Now for the next, I'm going to line this one up. Go. And again, I'm going to do the flowers here in the clay. And for these darker parts of the flower, I'm going to use the Cove. I'm hoping I can do it without having to add more ink. We'll see. Have to add just a little bit more. I'm going to dab here at the top of my lid, tap off a little, and see if I can. All right, hopefully that's dark enough. Yeah. Okay, that makes me done with that. And for my next two are going to be for the leaves, and I'm going to do those in the pebble and the slate. I'll start with the pebble. for the final one will be my slate color. Tap off over here. This will be a bit darker. I think it's fun sometimes to use gray as your leaf color. It's a little unexpected, but it gives a kind of a fun modern look to your flowers. Okay. All right, there we go. So that makes us done with all of our stenciling. I'll go ahead and move this stuff aside. I didn't end up using the sandcastle, but that's all right. We'll clean up the stencils later. And there we go. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll cut these out real quick. I love that the stamp, the stencil, and the die gives you 3 separate images, but all in one pass through your machine. Pink Fresh is kind of known for that. That's going through. I'll grab my press plate, or my BetterPress, I should say, and we'll do a couple things with that real quick before we get to our card making. All right, here are our florals all ready to go. Alright, to get started, let's do a hello, and maybe let's stick with the hello. We'll just do a hello this first time. Put it right, maybe this direction. Put it right over here, and since I don't want to waste the paper, so let's do a thanks as well. We'll just do thanks and hello. There we go. And for this time, I do have some of the BetterPress cotton card panels. One of those ready. Just going to place that right here. And this time we're going to do that in the tawny brown. Now I have a Sizzix Big Shot back behind me, so that's what I will run this through. All right, we'll run this through the Big Shot. All right, there we go. Love that. We got some great image there. All right, to clean it up, I do have a just a chamois here, and then I'm going to spray just a little bit of alcohol. This is just regular rubbing alcohol. And I'm just going to clean up my plates real quick. And that'll do that. Okay, for the next one, let's see here. Let's grab our main press plate, and we'll do one of those next. And get it out of the packaging. There we go. I'm going to place that right here in the A2 frame area. In there. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. Okay. Go ahead and pull that one off. And get another paper. And again, I'm going to place it right there in the A2. I love that they did that. I wish they would do that on the glimmer as well. And I love these little magnet toppers. They should do that on the glimmer as well. Now, I like to do it where I run it through where this and this are at the same. That way, I always know if I do have to run it through a second time, I know which way it needs to go. Now, I'm going to do this in the coastal color. And I'm just pressing and twisting. This is a pretty big die, so it takes quite a bit to get it all inked up. But I like that you get a lot to work with all in one pass. Just look to see if it looks like I've got everything. Okay. All right, I can see one thing that happened. My paper shifted. I'll show you here in just a second. All right. One of the things that happens, I only had one piece of tape instead of two, and this end of my paper, you can see how it shifted. So it's not going to be perfectly straight. Now that doesn't mean I can't use it. What's going on there? That doesn't mean I can't use it, but it does mean that this very outer one, I'm not going to be able to use that one. But I can die cut the rest of them and still use all the rest. So that was my fault. I had pulled off that other piece of tape. I'm going to go ahead and spray that. And for this one, I have a little scrap. It's called a scrubby. And I'm going to use that to, it gets kind of down in those decorative parts a little better. And I just picked this up at a drugstore. I often see things and think that'll work well for crafting. All right, I'm also going to come back with a little more of this one too to, wipe down in those other areas. There we go, to get my board. Alright, I am going to take off my outer sweater here because it's burning up in here. I'll probably be cold in 5 minutes, but for now, that will be better. Okay. Whew, okay. Now I'm ready to craft. So I'm going to go ahead with this frame and we'll cut this out and take a look at it. That's what happened to the other one that I had on there. It pulled off and I didn't replace it. So I have no one to thank but myself for not going back and fixing it. I saw that someone had used some sticky grid to set up their press plate thing with a sticky grid mat, and I was like, that's a really good idea. So I think I'm going to give that a try, but I haven't yet. Okay. Run that through. We will also grab the dies for these and run these through as well. Brand new piece of tape in it. There we go. Really sticking down in there. There we go. All right. So there you can see, and like I said, that very outer one is probably going to give us some trouble. Let me show you ones that I have already done in a moment. Let's cut this out first. Go. You'll be happy to know I have several of my pieces made in advance for us to use, but I wanted to show you how everything was made. So the BetterPress plate is so simple to use. It's a little what's the right word? Just I find it in some ways difficult to clean up. Like you know, getting the plates all clean can be challenging. And if you're like me and you like all your things neat and tidy, I don't like to leave ink like stained on things unless, you know, I absolutely have to. I prefer them to be like new when I open them up again. Sometimes that's not possible, but if it is possible, I want to try to do it that way. There we go. So, I have to fight that feeling because you want your things to be used, and they're not going to look brand new if you're using them. But I do like them to be clean if I can get them that way. And I find the press plates a little bit of a challenge to get cleaned up. So. They do say that the archival ink is the best way to clean them, but mine is broken. I can't get the stuff out of there. It won't come out. So that's why I'm using rubbing alcohol instead. So I need to get me a new bottle of that. So there we go. All right, now back to our frame. It looks like you can see on the back how it cuts them all out, and they should come apart real easily, but I didn't put a shim in there, so I'm having some places that are sticking, but basically they just pull right apart. Like I said, I should have stuck another shim in there because that's why this is not coming apart super easily. Go. That piece will be no good. Okay. They are coming apart. I'm just having to pull them a little bit, but basically there's a white section, oops, in between each of the inked sections that'll come out. So there's one frame, and then if this hadn't been stuck, it's a little, usually not quite so wrinkled up, but I had to pull on it quite a bit. But anyway, this is something that you could use, or it's just your negative space, but you could save that and use it if you wanted to. And basically just all of these pull apart to give you all your different layers of frames. And I love that in just one product you get lots of pieces here that you can use on lots of different projects or all on the same project. It just gives you lots of options. And please don't think it's 100% because I did not shim that right in my machine, because normally I've done this and it's just, you know, the pieces just come apart real easily. But you know how that is sometimes with your die machine. And there we go. All right, so we had one larger one that we lost because of the thing getting my paper moving. But here are the rest of the little frames that you get with one pass through the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and set these aside, and we're going to use some that I have made prior. All right, so here is one, and this has the entire thing, the press plate, die cut, and then each one of the frames layered on it, so that I'm using all the frames to create a background for my card. And this one is the BetterPress Tawny Brown. And we're just going to take one of the flowers that we've made. I'm going to pop that up just right here. Our florals are going to be our only kind of embellishment for these cards. And then we'll add a sentiment, and this one will be finished. Even if you had like a really large floral element to kind of put in the middle, like something kind of oblong, that would be, it makes such a nice textured, because these different layers, you know, it's really a fun, let me see if it's, you know, it's not like it's just stamped down on one piece of paper. It's all these different frames glued on to that solid piece, so you get lots of dimension going on there, which I really like. So I'm just going to place that about right there. And now let's go to our stamp set and see if I have a sentiment that's going to fit in there. Doesn't look like this one does, but let's see if we can put this on another piece of paper and then just put that right in there. You can see how when I used like my large words, I didn't particularly like that color blue with my flowers. So that's why we made some in the browns. But I don't think I want to use that on these. What do you think? It's a little, I don't know. Not bad, but we'll see. Okay. In the meantime, let's just go ahead and stamp this out. I'm going to use that here on a piece of this scrap paper. Fit? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm out of the camera. So there it is in brown. I'm also going to stamp this in black and see which one I like it better. This ink didn't stamp great. I wanted to give it a try to see if I wanted that ink to be the same color, but I think I will like this better. Oh, we could also try blue. Let's do that real quick. Let's try blue before we go black. I'll use my darkest blue here, which is the Cove. I'm going to make sure that's dry because I just cleaned off the brown. Okay. I like that. Okay. I think that's going to work for us. All right. I think if we place that just right in there. All right, so this one says, "You are incredible and you are doing a great job." Or we can save this one and we can use the hello. I'm unsure. So let's move forward and we will come back. I'm going to save my 2 sentiments and we'll just move on to the next. All right, so another way you can use these frames is by separating them apart and, you know, just using a couple on a project. So that's where my A2 nesting dies came in. I went through my nesting dies and I basically found the ones that were the perfect size for the insides of my frames. So this one makes a nice aperture for this frame and so on. You can see here where I've gone through and found the ones that fit the frames I needed. So then I just cut down my A2 paper, or cut down my paper to A2 size. And very quickly, I have a card ready to go just by having those frames. And using an A2 die to cut the aperture. Whoopsie. My wet glue worked against me that time. Sorry about that. It's one of those days today. Part of my problem is my glasses are on top of my head instead of on my face. Can't tell you how many times I do that where I'm struggling to see and then I'm like, why are my glasses on top of my head? All right, had to trim it a little bit, but that's okay. All right, now we're going to go ahead and glue this one on. And this one is a little bit larger for this card. Going to center that on there. And then this one's going to frame my aperture. All right. And I think I'll use this one and we'll put it right down here at the corner. So very similar to our first one. And instead of popping this one, I'm just going to go ahead and glue it down. Just looking at some of these different options. You know, I may come back later and after and make some more, but I kind of like it like this and maybe add a couple, if I have some peach colored gems. But right now I'm just going to go ahead and make my cards and then come back and make some sentiments that I want. But I don't want to rush on the sentiments. So here I have another one and I've got some different color ones. These are I did with the apricot. And again, I have my 2 frames and I have 2 patterned papers that I've cut apertures from. So I think what's nice about this is the fact that you run it through your machine. You do 1 press plate and you've got enough to work with to make, probably a half dozen cards or more. And not counting the blue one that we did together, but I just made two, an apricot one and a tawny one. And just out of those two passes through the machine with this one press plate, I came up with all of these cards that we're going to make. And I really like that. I enjoy the crafting part of it. Like, I don't want to just buy the things that are already pre-made all the time, like the ephemera packs. I like them sometimes, but not all the time. I like to do some of it myself. That's part of the fun of crafting. So I like making it. But when I have to go to a lot of work and get out another machine, like the BetterPress, if I have to get out another machine, I like it that I get a lot of bang for my buck. Because if I'm going to have to get out the machine just to make one little section of my card, I'm less likely to do it more often. I will pull out the BetterPress and make this because I'm able to make a lot of cards with what I'm with whatever I'm making. So hopefully that makes sense. Oops, pull that down just a little bit, get that slightly centered. And like I said, for today, my flowers are I'm not putting a lot of thought into how I'm doing. I'm pretty much doing them all alike. They're just all going to kind of be one little element down there in the corner. Go, so there's another one. All right, for the next one, which is another idea with these frames, as of course, when you make several of them, you can combine the different colors. Like, here's another one, like you can, run it through your machine, and then you've got several that you can work with. So we'll go ahead and do that next. And I did pull in one of the blue ones. Let's see. Well, do we like that? This is double-sided paper, so I'm just going to lay these on there and see if we like that pattern underneath. I think so. I think I like it. It's got the blue in it. So rather than this one that doesn't have any blue, I'm going to use this side. Now let's go ahead and pop these up. Oops. Go. This will give it a different look. Just changing one little thing can give you a different perspective. This one in, and now the last one. So I think this is just a really cool press plate, the way you get all these fun frames. And the fact that there's so many different sizes. I think before I put it all away today, I am going to go ahead and just run it through my machine several times in different colors, and then just put the little frames in the packaging, you know, so that when I need a frame, I can just reach in there and grab one. So now I'm trying to decide if I want to put that one in there or not. I'm going to go ahead and lay on my flower. And it looks like on this one I actually had 2 flowers. I am going to use this one on here. I want it to be the same height, so that's why I'm using this same foam, because I think my other one might be a little lower, and I don't want that. Okay. Did I get that crooked? No, just kind of looked it, but it's not. All right. Whoops, I covered up the A. I don't want that. Okay, there we go. I wish this flower was a tad smaller. Do we like it up there? Or do we just like the one? I don't want them all to look alike, so we could even put it down like this. I don't know. Overthinking it. I'm doing this mainly so that all the cards don't look exactly alike with one down in the corner. So, but anyway, there we go. One that actually has the sentiment and everything. All right, so we're down to our last card here. And I've got one piece of this dark blue. And I've got this one tawny frame. And then we have several of the blue frames. And I did save this little piece, but I don't think we'll use that. Let me get rid of my trash and we'll decide what we're going to do on this very last one. So I think, let's see here, which one? This one? Nope. This one. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to die cut the center here. And we have several flowers left, so I am going to just load this one up with flowers. So we've got all these flowers here to work with, and I have an idea. We'll see how it comes together. right, now we're just going to arrange our flowers all in here. All right. I think I want them down around the bottom. Okay, so my problem here is that 3 of them are the exact same image. So I'm going to try to arrange it such that the 2 images that are exactly alike are not right beside each other. Okay, maybe something like that. And then this one I'm not going to use because the coloring, this one I did really heavy, and you can see the blues are just, the secondary blue there is just so heavy. I don't like that along with the others. All right. I'm just going to check here how I feel about some of these others being on here. Oh no, that's got that piece in there. Yeah, that's where it just didn't cut it well enough, so that's not going to come out. Nope. Definitely don't like that on there. I think that one is too much as well. And we can maybe add that over here. Something like that. All right, I think that's getting better. I'm going to turn that a little so. All right, so in the end here on this one, I decided I like it best without this. And I'm going to go ahead and pop some of these up. And then we'll put this one right here in the center. All right. Now I have this one little piece here. I think I can arrange down in here to kind of give that a little more right down in there. There we go. Whoops, went way back in there. All right, I think that will give me a nice place to put a sentiment later. I'm sorry I didn't have sentiments ready to go. I was so excited about my frames. I didn't even look to grab a stamp set to do all my sentiments, but I will definitely add these 2 right here onto a couple of the cards. and a lot to clean up from. All right, so we have all with just those 2 passes of the frames and a pad of paper. So look at that. I think they're really fun how they turned out. I think I'm going to put the thanks on this one. And the hello on this one. I think I'm going to like that. Now over here, I definitely need to add some, yeah, see, it's just too big for that one. And not really a fan of it on that one. So this is definitely the one for the thanks. I think I'm going to let the, Going to do just a little bit of surgery here. I don't want this sticking up right into the, it's covering up the T. Okay. There we go. That top part can go over the leaf, but that, and then I'll add my flowers back in there so we still get that pretty color. Maybe something along those lines. All right. So I'll come back and add a couple sentiments to these two, but I really like how these turned out. And like I said, our flower here was just kind of to add an embellishment, but we did use the Pink Fresh floral here called You're the Best. We used the basic sentiments here, and then the star of the show were our press plate and our decorative frames here. So that were the main things that we used on these cards today, and I hope you enjoyed it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and switch back. If I can find my cursor, there we go. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you had fun, and I just enjoy talking to y'all while I craft, and I hope you enjoy joining me. So give me a thumbs up, and I look forward to crafting with you again soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.